and planning to bridge the housing gap, which at the last count by the federal government and the World Bank stands at about 17 million, is one thing, but funding of that plan is another big issue now. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, backed by the National Housing Fund Act, was formulated for this purpose. However, the managing director of FMBN has said that carrying out this function has been difficult because financial institutions have for about 25 years now not contributed to the bank. But hopefully this would change as the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has called on a refocus on mortgage.
Mortgage institutions achieving affordable housing for all Nigerians will require the development of strong and enduring mortgage institutions with transparent processes and procedures. Mortgage refinancing company, this institution, when fully operational, should ensure adequate support for mortgage financing.
Even industry players agree that there's yet a lot to be done.
This is work in progress. The important thing is that the sector is changing. The sector is providing more access to housing finance, both in the area of construction finance and mortgages. And we might not be where we intend to be, but we're making progress. Previously, you hardly can walk into any organization, any mortgage institution, primary mortgage institution, as it were, as they were known then, to get a 5-year mortgage, to get a 10-year mortgage. Most of those institutions were really not properly capitalized to be able to provide long-term funding, which is the basic driver for mortgage provision. So, but now you can walk into a mortgage bank and arrange to get a home on mortgage, not on a cash and carry basis, as it were.
The National Housing Fund Act requires that the Nigerian worker who earns an income of 3,000 naira and above per annum in both the private and public sector shall contribute 2.5% of his basic monthly salary to the fund. Every commercial or merchant bank shall invest in the fund 10% of its loans and advances as an interest rate. Every registered insurance company shall invest a minimum of 20% of its non-life funds and 40% of its life funds in real property development, of which not less than 50% shall be paid into the fund. And the federal government is saddled with the responsibility to make adequate financial contributions to the fund for the purpose of granting long-term loans and advances for housing developments. However, going by the number of deficits, it seems either many Nigerians are not aware of this or the mortgage banks are not playing their roles sufficiently.
We really didn't have a mortgage market, as it were. What we used to have was mere, maybe housing finance, construction finance, building loans, and things like that. The economy wasn't accommodating of long-term deposits, as it were. Everybody is interested in the 90-day cycle, 60 days deposits, which are really not suitable for mortgage financing. But today things are changing. The awareness is being created, the sector is being restructured. The mortgage banks have recapitalized to a minimum of 2.5 billion for state licenses and 5 billion for national licenses. And this is also creating more awareness with such capital. You can go out, you can advertise, you know that when you advertise, you can back up your advertisement with product delivery.
The steps to benefit from either the federal mortgage or the primary mortgage banks are clearly stated.
The first thing you do is Go open an account. Well, determine in your mind you want a home, because without that determination, without that passion for wanting your own home, you will not get through the difficulties or the challenges, not difficulties, the challenges. And then you open an account with a mortgage bank, and choose from the area of services, area of products, which suits your cash flow and your disposition.
The good old approach of mortgage is what Lagos State has chosen to embrace to deal with its over 2.2 million deficit handled by the Mortgage Board.
Lagos Mortgage Board is a board that oversees the pre-qualification and qualification of applicants. But with the present deficit that exists in Lagos in terms of housing, we are told from the report that we will need to go into active construction of houses. We will need 185,500 units yearly in the next 5 years to bridge the gap. I mean, when you just coming on board as a new administrator, you want to know you need to first understand the baseline situation. What am I meeting on ground? What is the situation? And in the situation where we are in 32 sites, you know, so you first have to look at those sites, know the status of completion before you commit the contractors. Before now, some contractors were paid, and they were actively on site, while some were skeletally on site. So when I assumed office, I went around the 32 sites. I met some on site, some didn't come to site, some, very few, abandoned sites. And for those that have not done well, we have no other choice but to determine their contract. But for those that have done extremely well, we continue with them. The case in point is that of Mushin, the Mushin estate. We had issue with 2 contractors, but they have been mobilized. If you go to Mushin now, they are there, and I will be meeting the allottees in another few days on site.
And so the government says the mortgage scheme will be supported with the rent-to-home scheme.
With the rent-to-home policy, what you need to commit in terms of fund is less than 5%. We are also aware that the traditional way of building might not be moving with the technology age, and we believe there is a need for us to go into system building. With system building, we're going to have the time of delivery will be quicker, and the quality will also be guaranteed.
With these plans, the Lagos State government attempts to put the mind of Nigerians at rest, as many have expressed the fear of affordability, even in the cases where housing projects have been termed low cost. Well, that's it for this episode of the program. Let's continue this talk on our social media platforms. I'm Ini Thompson.